Hi, our last episode explored the mass production of films during the video film era and how a lack of funding, piracy, and low quality productions brought that era to an end in the late 2000s. But today, we are exploring the new Nigerian cinema era. This is a revitalized and more cinematic era in Nigerian film. It emerged during the height of the video film era in the mid-2000s with the launch of Silverbird Cinemas, which at the time predominantly showcased Western films. This era, characterized by a renewed investment and interest in high-budget productions, some filmmakers began to look back at the golden age for inspiration to produce cinema-first productions made from the now readily available digital technology. This era is a direct shift towards higher quality films with improved storytelling that led to more international recognition. Unlike the video film era films, which were produced in less than a week, this new era generally focused on quality over quantity by switching from the usual VHS tapes to the newer and better digital format. Not only the change in production time, but also the performances and storytelling format became more subtle and refined. This new era also focused on logical themes compared to the themes explored in the video film era. And how this new age came to be is quite interesting. It was driven by the return of diasporic Nigerians who were now returning to a country post-military rule, which ended in 1999, with both the money and skills to invest in various undertakings. Individuals such as Kunle Afolayan, who had attended a film school in New York, came back and produced Irapada, which later became the first high-budget local film to be screened at the Silverbird Galleria in Lagos. This opened up more doors for higher-budget productions. Other films, such as Amazing Grace by Jetta Amata and Nick Moran, showcased how international collaborations would benefit the Nigerian film scene as a whole. The Amazing Grace later went on to receive 11 nominations in the African Movie Academy Awards, winning the award for achievement in cinematography. But before the release of Irapada and The Amazing Grace, filmmakers such as Tunde Kelani and Tade Ogidan had tried to make films that broke away from the normal video format in terms of quality and storytelling, but they also fell short of changing the narrative at the time. Following the success of the films such as The Amazing Grace, films of this era began to benefit from international collaborations where experts from other countries contributed to the production process itself. Around this time, festivals like TIFF and the Berlin International Film Festival began showcasing Nigerian films, which added to the global appreciation of Nigerian films. On the audience side, the renewed presence of Nigerian films on the global scene led to the appreciation of the revised storytelling format that was brought in by the new Nigerian cinema era. On the cinema houses side, the launch of Silverbird Cinema by the Silverbird Group in 2004 led other players to launch their own cinemas across the country. These would serve mostly the middle and upper class population of Nigeria. And with the success of Irapada, the Silverbird Group went on to launch more cinemas in Lagos and other cities. Newer cinema house brands also went on to launch their own venues such as Genesis Deluxe Cinema and Ozone Cinemas. The middle and upper class populace began to frequent these new cinema houses that were reminiscent of the golden cinema era, of the golden age. Their main allure was that they were located in strategic areas such as malls and shopping centers that were frequented by people who had enough capital to spare as part of their day-to-day ritual. And just as in the golden age, most of the films screened here were in the local Yoruba language, including Irapada itself. Though the number of people actually visiting these cinemas was not as commercially lucrative as before, the tides were about to turn. Project Nollywood, a program launched in 2006 by the Nigerian government in conjunction with EcoBank, injected 100 million naira in the film industry through grants and cash loans to produce high-quality films. On top of this, EcoBank also funded a multi-million naira distribution network across the country. Films such as Caught in the Middle by Charles Novia, 100 Days in the Jungle by Chico Ejiro, and Letters to a Stranger by Fred Amata were a product of this grant. And now just to pull back a bit, if you noticed, we've barely mentioned the usage of the word Nollywood in this entire series, well, up until now. And the reason is simple. Nollywood, a term originally used to describe the film industry of Nigeria, was introduced to the world by a New York Times article published by Matt Steinglass in 2002. And since we are talking about the specific eras within the history of Nigerian film, it's only right to introduce it now with the rise of the new Nigerian cinema era. So let's get into it. The word itself has no confirmed origin, and most people, as mentioned earlier, quote the 2002 article, and others quote another article by the same publication, though this time the writer was Norimitsu Onishi in September of 2002. By right, and as defined by Alex Ayengo, a notable filmmaker and former president of the association Nollywood Co-Producers, Nollywood can be used to describe the totality of activities taking place in the Nigerian film industry, regardless of language used. But with time, this term has also evolved to describe and include affiliate film industries, such as that of Ghana, when they include Nigerian producers or use Nigerian companies to distribute their films. This can also be used to refer to diaspora films considered to be affiliated with Nigeria or made specifically for the Nigerian audience. However, some stakeholders within the Nigerian film industry find issue with describing non-Nigerian produced films as part of Nollywood, and also since the term itself was coined by foreigners, which some see as a form of imperialism, producers and filmmakers refuse to acknowledge it as a way to describe their industry. Now back to the new Nigerian cinema era. And as the eras before it, the subdivisions of Nollywood are based on ethnic and religious lines. Individuals like Patience Osoko, Chineduke Dieze, Osita Iheme, Nkem Owo, and John Okafor are ethnically Igbo. However, they tend to make more films in English to appeal to a broader audience. This has earned them the right to become household names across Africa and has embedded Igbo aphorisms and expressions into other cultures as well. On the other side, the Yoruba language cinema is one of the biggest locally in Nigeria and has been a driving force behind the success of Nollywood. It was the first to dive into the celluloid format in the golden age and has continued to more or less set the pace of what to expect from the industry. Yoruba filmmakers are considered in some spaces to be the first true Nigerian filmmakers. Next to the Yoruba cinema, we have the Hausa language cinema. Based out of Kano, this subset of Nollywood is the largest in northern Nigeria. Around the 60s, the cinema revolution took root through productions of RTV Kaduna and Radio Kaduna. And in the 90s, given the influx of Bollywood films in the region, Hausa filmmakers began to combine their own cultural approach with Bollywood-inspired storytelling and filmmaking processes. By the early 2010s, over 2,000 film companies were registered with the Kano State Filmmakers Association. Now, there are more sub-industries of Nollywood, but these make up the biggest to date. Let's travel forward to 2009. At this time, The Figurine, written by Kemi Adesoye and directed by Kunle Afolayan, unleashed in cinemas. Some researchers consider this to be another key cornerstone in the development of the new Nigerian cinema revolution. For a time until 2014, it was the highest grossing Nigerian film before being displaced by Half of a Yellow Sun, the adaptation of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's book. Entering the 2010s, the funding for Nigerian cinema was changing, especially for high production films. 2010 saw the launch of a 30 billion naira creative and entertainment industry intervention fund financed by the Bank of Industry, partnering with the Nigerian Export and Import Bank. By 2013, the Nigerian government had given another grant of 3 billion naira to be used within Nollywood. And in 2015, the Bank of Industry launched another Nolly Fund where they gave financial support in the form of loans to film producers. This influx of funding provided projects like Dr. Bello, Flower Girl, Half of a Yellow Sun, and The Department to be produced and go on to be some of the best works to come out of the new Nigerian cinema era. Just as the production process was improving at the turn of the 2010s, so was the distribution. By 2011, streaming platforms entered the picture with the launch of Iroko TV. Formerly a YouTube channel called Nollywood Love, Iroko TV was the first platform to source and distribute Nollywood movies on a streaming platform. This broadened the reach and appeal of Nollywood movies and opened up avenues for more revenue. And in 2016, Netflix came calling. First, by being a distributor of select films that met their standards, such as Kunle Afolayan's October 1st and B. Bandele's 50, among others. This later developed into acquiring the exclusive rights to distribute films such as Genevieve Naji's Lionheart, which then received critical acclaim. Netflix has since doubled down on its bet on Nollywood by launching a Nollywood-inspired variant, Netflix Niger, in 2020. This was a clear sign of how invested Netflix would be in Nollywood. Other streaming platforms, such as Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Max, have also invested in Nollywood, and producers and filmmakers are reaping the rewards of a more stable distribution channel and increased revenues and exposure. However, it was not always easy sailing, for with the new era, issues of piracy soon caught up with the productions, just like the ones faced in the video film era. At this point, some films such as October 1st were leaked even before they were released to DVD. Multiple sources pointed the finger to a lack of proper content management by distributors and a lack of proper policy to eradicate this issue from the government. Alaba Market has remained a hotbed for piracy, and any action taken by law enforcement is usually met by resistance. On the other hand as well, some filmmakers lack enough knowledge of how copyright laws work and how best to protect their intellectual property. And with the rise in online streaming pirate platforms, the infringement has just increased. But today, Nigerian cinema is still on the upswing. With a near-endless pool of talent and inspiration to draw from, and a growing global audience hungry for more Nigerian storytelling, the future is really bright. As we conclude our deep dive into the new Nigerian cinema era, it's evident that this period represents a transformative leap for Nollywood. Today's films, characterized by higher production values, refined storytelling, and innovative digital techniques, reflect a rejuvenated industry built on renewed investments and a return of diasporic talent. This era has reshaped Nollywood, enabling Nigerian films to garner international acclaim, reach global audiences via digital platforms, and establish themselves as significant cultural exports. Despite ongoing challenges like piracy and evolving market dynamics, the vibrant mix of seasoned professionals and emerging creatives is driving Nollywood towards sustained growth and enhanced global relevance. The industry's evolution from a high-volume, low-budget model to one that emphasizes quality and narrative depth is a testament to its resilience and potential. With these advancements, Nigerian cinema stands poised to continue its remarkable journey, firmly establishing Nollywood as a major player on the world stage, while proudly reflecting Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and innovative spirit. So, this is the end of the history of Nigerian cinema, and the journey through Nigerian cinema has been nothing short of extraordinary. From its colonial roots, where film technologies and foreign influences laid the groundwork, through the golden age that witnessed the emergence of indigenous storytelling and cultural expression, to the dynamic video film era that democratized film production despite numerous challenges, and finally into the new Nigerian cinema era, where innovative technology, international collaborations, and renewed investment have redefined Nollywood on the global stage. I hope these episodes reveal a resilient industry that has continuously evolved, reflecting Nigeria's rich cultural heritage, while embracing change and paving the way for a future of bold creativity and sustained excellence. The next series will be on Egypt, and it would be released 2 weeks from now. So catch you guys there.